Well, this has been a couple hours. It's touch dry. I can really see my 80 grit sanding marks in it. Back here it's a little better. A lot of dirt and holes in it. But looks like I'll have to do a good job on the body work. You can see all the pinholes, Bondo tracks. Down here where I poured it on good, that filled it, but I didn't put a real thick coat on here. Color's fine. This side here, I got about the same deal. I can see all my sand marks. So if I plan on using this paint, which I do, I'm going to have to do a good job on it, on the primer, unless I want to see all the sand marks and everything in it, which I don't. Either that or a brush job. So anyway, that I was kind of hoping that this Rustoleum brush stuff would save me some body work, but not really, unless I just want to have a rough brush job, and I kind of don't. There's too much of this that's got Bondo on it, and it's going to be real straight and smooth, so I have to clean it up, do good body work, prime it, sand it with 220, get all of the imperfections out of it, and then I can go ahead and use this color. Is fine. I'll just throw it on with a spray gun. I started to use the spray gun on this, but I'm just as glad I didn't, because even with big old heavy brush stuff, I can still see all those sand marks. So anyway, project for another day. We'll let this dry good. I'll use this as a guide coat and try to fix the rest of this, sand it down good. I may put another coat on it with a spray gun once I get it right. We'll see how that works out. I moved on up here to the front. This is the what I had mocked up earlier for the grill shell. I welded a pipe in it and a bracket for the radiator, but this is all just tin. And one thing I did notice is this is 2 inches off the ground, so I put a block in it there. That's 8 inches. I'm going to cut all the bottom of this frame off of here. That'll give me some kind of clearance. That's going to be right about the bottom of the frame, so that's close enough. Of course, I got this all bent and angled forward, so I need to make a grill brace. I had made got an angle iron I'd cut here somewhere. I had made that. I was going to try to bolt it to the frame, actually where it fits is right here when I was originally planning it, so I needed to patch that and drill and tap it. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do here. This is just tin. It's not really holding it on good, and it's leaning forward. So I'm gonna go out there and get that hood, put it up on here, and plan out how am I going to make this solid. Well, trying to center this up. All of this part in here is real good and solid, but the only thing that's holding it there is this, you know, piece of tin, and I've got a place there I need to fill on the frame. So I've got this 1/8 inch steel plate, and I'm pretty sure I can get that welded in there like that. I took it out there in a vise and bent a 90 on it, and it's got a kind of a chewed up place, so I give myself enough room to cut that off, so I can trim this piece up to where it'll fit that hole. I can weld it in, and then I'll have to bring it up, you know, where it'll cover that bottom of the radiator, maybe an inch. I don't want to have a big old tall bracket in there welded in, so I think this will work. So I'll measure this out from you know, from this side here out to about, well, it's almost exactly the size of that bolt. Don't have to do much measuring. So that'll be how long that piece is. And then once I get that cut, I can set it in there and mark it for what size it is, and then I'll do the same over here. Once that bracket's in, then this will hopefully shore up my firewall. It looks kind of crooked right now. It looks like it's leaning to the right. I've got the center centered. Well, these brackets will fix that too. I'll make sure that this is vertical, level, before I go to putting anything in it. First thing is to cut these things up and get them laid in there. Well, I got my 2 plates made. That one there is sitting on the frame and up against the radiator. This one's sitting on the frame and up against the radiator. Looks like they're pretty much the same. I don't know exactly what angle it will go in at. They're going to be clamped up or bolted into this radiator shell, so think what I'll do is once I get them cleaned up, ready to weld, I'll go ahead and clamp them to the shell, and then make sure my centers line up here, and then I should be able to weld them in. Drill me some holes and bolt it. This will center the bottom of the radiator shell with the frame, and it'll also hold the top, and then whatever's left here in this bottom tin piece, you have to trim it a little to get it to fit on the frame, whatever. And this this thing I put in here, you know, trying to go around it, that looks kind of stupid. I'll just cut that off. So I got a bit of cutting to do on this anyway. I got to cut the bottom off. But anyway, the first thing is to get this radiator shell centered and vertical. And since it's tapered in, I can't use a level on it. I have to drop a string or something down from the top on the inside and line it up with the center of the motor. Anyway, I'm going to get these pieces cleaned up and ready to weld. Now there's my two brackets made and ground up. I got a little spray bottle here. Then I'm using that super toxic rust converter on. You can see it boiling away, and it hits concrete. It starts bubbling the concrete too. Anyway, I'll leave it out here in the sun a minute. Looks like it leaves a little white stuff on it. The zinc oxide probably, but that'll be good enough. And I'll weld these in. I didn't really clean up this area here much, and I already painted it, so I'll take a screwdriver and see if I can scrape it out a little. All I really need to do is get it to break an arc, and then I'll just burn all that paint right off of there, and it'll be good for the frame to have the paint on it anyway. On these, rust converter is going to be about the best bet for that. We'll press on, get them cleaned up, clamp them in, and start welding. Okay, got those welded in. They're 1 inch off of the upper control arm. This one here is welded. It's 1 inch off the upper control arm. And the radiator is, let's see, I'm moving the whole car. It's plenty strong. Kind of amazing, actually. But that is an 1/8 of an inch plate, 2 inches wide. Sure makes a big difference having that magnifying glass in my helmet so I can see. Did a pretty good job of welding that compared to what was right next to it. So a couple bolts in that. That'll be super straight. It's super close to the center. If I put my tape on it here, And put the tape up here in the middle. Pull that a little too much. Yeah. Two-handed. All right, I'm putting the tape, whoa, centered right here in the middle of the radiator hole. It's hanging down. It might look like the edge of the tape's right at the center of the water pump, so it's off just a little, but I don't have any bolts in this yet, so this would be a simple matter of basically loosening that up, moving it over a little. Well, not a one-handed job, but looks like the edge of this tape's right about the middle of this Chrysler emblem too. Anyway, it's real close to being on center. I'll get a small line and we'll I'll mock that up real dead straight before I go in here and bore holes in it. But yeah, it's really strong actually. I'm kind of surprised even with just one clamp in it. Whole car's kind of moving. So that turned out to be a good way to make the bracket. And welds are good enough. I can just kind of polish them up a little bit and paint it. And I went ahead and welded that across the bottom of the radiator shell good. Of course, that's just bolted on too. That bottom piece is welded to the radiator shell. Probably still need to make a little patch in there to cover up this hole right here. Yeah, it's shouldn't be too hard to make something like that. Just make a little paper template with a curve in it, weld it on there and weld it to the shell. But radiator brackets are in. They're not going to stick up too bad. You know, they're right about the height of the control arm, so they're not going to be too much in the way. And I put 2 bolts in there, it'll be super solid. First thing I'll do, of course, is get it centered and clamped. I'll bore a couple holes in it, bolt it up, and then I'll do whatever I got to do here with this bottom tin to get it the same. Probably just best thing probably would be just drill and tap it, put a couple small bolts in it. It's just sheet metal, it's not really holding anything. I got to cut off, and like I said, that's 6 inches off the bottom there. But looking at it, the shell looks like it's really centered good in the car. The hood's not quite centered, but that's the main thing, is to get the front of it straight, and then I can get this hole here to line up good. And once that's done, then I can come back here and cut me a piece for this. You can see right now it's not the same. That one over there is real close, and this one's like 3/8 of an inch away. But I'll make that straight, and this will give it a lot more strength. You know, that 18 gauge sheet metal's much better than this. This is probably 14 gauge, this old hood. So that's what I'll do. Get it finished straightening up, and then I'll make that rear piece, and then figure out some way of bolting it in here. I think it'd be a good idea to weld a nut inside this recess right here. Drill a hole, weld a nut over the hole, and then make sure I got a bolt drilled so I can put a bolt in it and clamp it down. Anyway, this hood needs a little work too, but looking more like a car. Having a hood on it, kind of giving it a little character. We'll finish this up and it ought to look pretty good. By the way, this paint turned out pretty good. See all my sand marks and stuff in it, but that's not a bad color at all. Very dark blue. Anyway, I'm still playing with this radiator here, or grill shell. I've got the shell right at 0 degrees, so it's straight up and down, and I put a piece of metal, just stuck it up there on the magnet, and looks like it's lining up real good here with the bottom of the pulley. Yeah, it's a little off on the water pump, but as far as what I can do here, that's straight up and down and square. So I clamped this in. Well, that's how I did it. I clamped it in and drove boards under it until it was straight. So now I can bore me a couple holes in here. I'll go right through them old bowl holes and put a bolt in it, and that should hold my grill shell. The second bolt that I put in there will change all this, but I kind of like that angle that I've got there. A couple degrees. I don't know if I ought to make it straight up and down, or tilt it a little, or 90 off of the hood. Don't know. But my first bolt's what's gonna kind of fix my position. So I'll get in there and drill a couple holes and see what happens. Well, there's this kind of done. I cut off those ends off of the splash shield here, and got it on straight. I trimmed off a 1/4 of an inch or so right at the bolt holes, so it's looking pretty good on the frame. That one there is right at the middle of the bolt hole. This one's a bit back, so I got to cut a little off the end of that. But the hood's on it straight, clamped down, and it's off a couple degrees there at the radiator cap, but the roof is a couple degrees too. The frame's right at 0, but it looks pretty straight. You can see that top of it's kind of flipped out there in the back. I'll have to do something about that. And I got it square from the firewall to the edge of the radiator shell. It's tilted back just a little. And it's up here in the back a couple inches, so it'll have a little bit of a backwards tilt. And my time I got through playing with that and getting it vertical stuff, this moved out about 1 inch, which is fine. Let's check what we got here. I got about 5.5 inches. And I'm sure I got that much here. Oh yeah, this is 7 or 8. Yeah, this is 7 1/4. So I got plenty of metal here to make that back part. So now really all I got to do is clamp these up. They're kind of broke here on the corner on both of them, but I'll get those clamped up, welded, and drill me some holes in here. Probably one in the front, one in the back. Thread them. I don't know how thick that plate is, but it's not like I'm going to be really bolting anything to it. Just that tin. So, Mr. Radiator shell mounted good. I don't know what I'm going to do with the radiator itself. It's got these side plates welded on it up pretty high. Really nothing to bolt to down in the bottom. Who knows? The main thing is I've got this grill shield mounted straight. I got to cut that bottom of the shroud off. I don't know whether I'll just cut it off or try to make an air scoop or something. For right now, I think I'll just cut it off. May flip that bottom piece around and do something with that. Again, took a lot longer than I thought. I thought I was just going to be able to put this on here, but I didn't really finish it. It is finished now. Now welding that plate in there, that finished boxing my frame. So no loose spots in that front to back now. I can get in there and grind them off a little, and that should look plenty good. It's a rat rod, and I've got the corner of the where they welded that A-arm in there. I need to clean that up and weld it to the frame on both sides here. I think I already did weld it in the back, but that'll help the steering more likely. Good enough. I watched Rat Rod Bob. He made a nice grill shell out of just straight old wire, and would do old crooked wire, and then clamped it in a vise and hooked it up to a drill and twisted it, and made it went just straight as an arrow. I thought, well, that's a pretty good idea. I don't have any wire. I do have some baling type wire. I got quite a bit of that. It's too small to really make a grill shell out of. And I've got welding rod here. And it's kind of expensive to build a grill shell out of. But I was thinking maybe I'd take 3 pieces of that wire, twist them all up. That'll give me 3 times the diameter, and make me some kind of a grill. Just thinking about it. Don't know what I'm going to do. Anyway, like and subscribe, guys. One of my subscribers wanted me to show a little bit more of doing the work instead of, okay, I did it, it's done. So I'll dig up another camera here. Yeah, this turns out real nice in the camera. Yeah, this color's growing on me. And there's always this light blue. It's a standard color. I might paint this whole piece here all the way around the car with the light blue. That might look pretty good. Kind of give it a racing stripe all the way around. And it is the same color as this other blue. It just got more, this just got more black in it. So in fact, that's might be a pretty good idea, because I got all my body lines straight here, and painting them blue would accent it. Make the whole car look straight, you know. We'll see. I think that would be a really nice accent. The dark blue on the bottom, and then that royal blue as an accent, and then a black top, and probably this front piece here all the way down the hood. You can paint that royal blue too. And that would definitely, you know, give it the length in the front end that would draw your eye to the length of the car. That's a real good idea, in fact. And up against it, of course, would be the black paint, so it would really stand out. And I could use a turquoise pinstripe, which would pick up the color of the motor. It's going to be a really pretty car. much look like it right now, but I just saw something there in my mind, and I think that'll look just really, really nice. A lot of body work to do before that, and of course then I got to do a whole interior. Anyway, lots of work. Like and subscribe, guys. See if you can find somebody else to watch the channel, if you will, and have them subscribe. Sure appreciate you.